pro wrestling podcast.
Yep. Double yump. Triple yump.
Bob Roode.
The Bullet Club is for everyone.
This is the best pro wrestling podcast. My name is Tommy Stryker. Joining me today is Taco.
What up?
Joe is not here. He is out with some liver issues, unfortunately. So it's
my liver.
I heard his dirty CPAP was causing him some liver skullduggery.
Those things are hard to keep clean.
It's a tough situation. So he is on assignment out this week, but hopefully back next week. We got a big preview and predictions for
He's on assignment fixing his liver.
Correct.
My liver.
But, yeah, a big week this week with the greatest Royal Rumble. Really feels like a WrestleMania 2.0 at this point. They've really, it's a huge show, a long show, lots of title matches, no women. Everybody's upset about that. The internet is screaming about no women involved. It's not a WWE thing. It's a Saudi Arabia thing, of course. But a lot of people are upset at WWE for even bringing their business to Saudi Arabia. It's understandable. People are going to be upset about this kind of thing. It's a fucked up situation all the way around, and it starts in Saudi Arabia, but hey, they got all that oil money and they're giving WWE a lot of money. And here's kind of my take on the situation is that even though the women aren't allowed to wrestle there because of that country's rules, WWE, as the women's employer, are benefiting by getting so much profit from doing this show. They're going to reap the benefits of the
Jerry the King Lawler kind of hinted at that they'd get a nice little bump for this.
Right, yeah. And I didn't. I saw the headline of that, and I didn't read the article. Not that Jerry the King Lawler is known for coming to the defense of women very often. So I don't know how much I put. I don't know how much faith I put behind Jerry Lawler again coming to the defense of women, but it's. I don't know if I think WWE should do the right thing and go ahead and pay these women like they're being on the show. I think that would be a smart, a wise thing to do. Maybe not, and I hesitate to say maybe not all of them, but certainly their top talent that would have been part of the show. Which is all of them pretty much because they put all the women on WrestleMania. So
it's just one of those things where it's just the country didn't have movie theaters a year, 2 years ago, concerts, comedy shows, wrestling events. They didn't have none of this till recent. So over time, we're going to get there. It's going to change. And this is just, Triple H released a statement. He's like, hey, man, it changes overnight.
Right.
If you're that mad with us, unsubscribe. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
but, it's a changing country. You're getting your foot in the door, and this is, normalizing stuff for them.
Yeah, this is a big deal for that country. But yeah, exactly what you just said. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. So we'll get into the entirety of that show next week. We got our big when Joe's finally back. We'll have our Backlash predictions and lots of women's involvement there. They're building up some nice matchups for that show. So we'll get into those next week. What else do I wanted to talk about before we get into too much of Greatest Royal Rumble? I do want to spend it's not really news stuff, but we'll hit the sounder anyway.
We have quite a bit of news for you.
Just wanted to quickly touch on the Andre the Giant documentary. This is a couple of weeks old now. Came out on HBO, I think last week. But I was lucky enough. Both you and I, Taco, are Sling subscribers, Sling TV, and we got a free weekend of HBO. And Andre the Giant documentary was part of it. And so, yeah, I dialed that thing up. Enjoyed it very much. What did you think of the show?
Yeah, I loved it. I kind of wish there was more to put into it to extend it, but. Yeah, there's so much shit, like just especially the earlier photos and talking with his brother was awesome.
Yeah.
And, I had no idea he even had a daughter out there.
Right.
So,
and left his estate to him. So that.
So it was very cool to see that, and even fucking that Vince McMahon scene at the end where they're like, do you remember the last thing you guys said to each other? And just quickly looks away at the camera. No, I block out the negativity. Bullshit. Like, what? Oh.
Right. Well, and just an insight into Vince McMahon. Like, I have a facility where I block all the negative energy in my life. Just a sign of how he operates.
But just seeing the emotion out of some of these guys at the guy, even like Hulk Hogan, it was something special, and it was a very good documentary.
And it kind of became the Hulk Hogan show in the middle there a little bit, but
yeah.
But yeah, very good. And honestly, I want to, since I haven't heard enough people talking about the other side of this, not this documentary, but there is another Andre documentary done. I don't know if you remember that A&E did a series back in the, I want to say early thousands, maybe even late 90s. It was a show called Documentary, a weekly TV show, and they would have an hour-long documentary on various celebrities or whatever, and they did one on Andre the Giant. And I had good memories of that, and I was left wanting more by the HBO documentary. So I looked up this A&E documentary and rewatched that. Cool. And I would really suggest supplementing this documentary with that, because you get a lot more of the human side and just his story a little bit more, a lot less actually about the wrestling of it, because that was what the HBO documentary is kind of a story of his wrestling life.
They show all the glorified stuff,
right, and you get some of the mythology in there and stuff like that, and a lot of the true stuff. And the documentarian, I forget his name, of the HBO one, went around and did interviews talking about doing this documentary and how it was kind of hard, because so many people told different stories, and it was hard to separate fact from fiction and myth from legend and whatnot. And so he would, take the first-hand accounts, only if you were there and saw Andre drink 105 beers are we going to put it on the documentary. And
that's what sucks about our day and age, is we don't have that surrounding people nowadays. There's not that mystique anymore.
Right. It's very easy to verify whether or not something is true in this social media age or whatever. But I think a lot of the Andre stories are true, and even if they're not, it's fun to have that legendary myths and whatnot when it comes to Andre. But again, I can't recommend that A&E documentary enough. You can find it out there. Just Google it, and it's there to watch. And like I said, very good stuff. Really gets into the human side of it as well. Before we get into Greatest Royal Rumble, I did want to talk a little bit of Impact, because they made a little bit of noise over the weekend with their Redemption pay-per-view. I know you got a chance to see it, Taco.
I did watch it.
I just saw a couple of highlights on YouTube, but I didn't go ahead and just talk about... Well, let's start with the biggest news, with Pentagon winning the Impact Championship in that three-way match with Phoenix and Austin Aries, the belt collector.
It was I don't want to say the same match that we saw during WrestleCon, but that souped up a main event caliber.
Sure.
But it was definitely a good main event for Impact. No bullshit at the end, no crazy stuff. Good surprise win to send that ripple effect out on the internet there. And it wasn't just the main event; the whole card, everyone stepped up to the plate. Even some of those guys like the Petey Williams kind of people. Stepped up, and very good show from start to finish. And I hope they can keep up this momentum.
What was I going to say? So I forgot what I was going to say. Lost my train of thought there. So the main event was good, lived up to the... Oh, I know what I was going to say. So Pentagon winning kind of takes away some of the momentum, I feel like, of Austin Aries, who's doing this belt collector gimmick. But it does... It adds a buzz, I think, to Impact right now that kind of needs it, even though there really wasn't probably a big clamoring for a guy like Pentagon to win their championship.
I think that's what was so shocking about it, because Austin Aries is so dominant right now as the belt collector. And, I believe he pinned Phoenix, so it wasn't like Aries took the loss or anything.
So a little bit of
still,
controversy
they can get that
there.
redemption going on,
and you could get the rematch or whatever, the singles match.
And Pentagon's hot right now. He's the hot property, and I don't know. I even avoid Impact spoilers.
Absolutely.
I know they're doing a bunch of tapings or have done a bunch of tapings, but I don't know if this might get him away from Impact a little bit, so he can kind of go chase that Ring of Honor TV title. So I'm hoping it's that.
Austin Aries,
yeah, because he's been popping up in Ring of Honor, teasing that. So I hope maybe that's a month or two, because you can easily put it back on to Austin Aries and keep him
right. Well,
as the belt collector.
The next Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I don't think I have it on our whiteboard yet, but it's sometime. No, it's up there. It's that's War of the Worlds.
Well, that's the thing. They have a Slammiversary coming up, and they had a big promo for that going on, and doing another pay-per-view for that, and
for
Impact, and that's their big WrestleMania. So,
do you remember when that is? Is that
I didn't catch the date on it.
The Ring of Honor pay-per-view, the next actual pay-per-view, not just Honor Club house show kind of a thing, is in early June.
Okay,
Best in the World. So that's like the first or second week of June. So if Aries doesn't win the Impact Championship back, maybe he goes and does the Ring of Honor. Well, he's certainly gonna do the Ring of Honor match at some point. Why would they have teased it so much up to this point? So I imagine
July 22nd.
July 22nd is Slammiversary. So we got a few months, couple of months.
I even
anyway.
like too, right before the main event match too. They kind of had a video package of the history, and even include the Del Rio stuff. And then they're like WrestleCon no show. So they're pretty much like fuck you, man. Which
nice.
Good. I'm fucking no one hire this dude. How does he keep getting work?
It's unreal. How was Scott Steiner?
It wasn't bad. Like I said, it was especially one of those matches where I was like, him and Dummy,
Eli
Drake. They actually did manage the win, so I was not expecting that. But hey,
was that for the tag titles or
that was part of his Feast or Fired briefcase.
Okay, yeah.
So he got into that match. So, fucking Scott Steiner's going to be Scott Steiner. He even did a fucking Frankensteiner in the corner, which was fun to see out of that.
Awesome.
And, man, even, like I said, those matches I wasn't really expecting. I mean, there's no fucking 3-4. I'm not going to even fucking give a star to that kind of match. It's just one of those matches. Kept the show going.
Spectacle, yeah.
There wasn't a dull moment on it. And it was one of those few times where Scott Steiner's on your TV and you're not shaking your head like, fuck it. Even the ladies showed up on that alley, man. Like, go to a podcast over a year ago, fucking back when Maria was on her, and fucking we were just like, God, put her off the TV. But they're putting a lot of faith in her, and she pulled off the win against Sue Young, and
they've done a really good job building up her story over the past year or so. How about Brian Cage in that big 6-way?
That dude is a fucking monster, dude. I fucking love him. Like, he's that dude, like, juice to the fucking gills. He's not denying, but too. Yeah, man, the moves he's doing, and a lot of these wrestlers clearly put a lot of faith into him too, because there's a lot of moves where he's fucking. It looks like he's cutting close and just slamming these fuckers around their neck, but. Everyone's safe. Everyone's taking the moves, and it's just, shows you how much faith and trust you got to have into each other. And for these guys to have that much faith into Brian Cage to do his thing, fuck yeah, he's shining. And fuck, he just had two big, wins, two or three wins over Lashley, so they're really pushing him too. And
sure.
Fucking just looking at his work in Lucha Underground, and he kind of won me over there.
Absolutely.
And then he's really stepping up to the plate for Impact right now. So good for him. Good for the company.
Okay, right on. Well, let's move on. Let's get into our greatest Royal Rumble predictions. Let's change it up here.
God, I can't believe you actually won an Impact streak.
I know, right? And that's the thing, too, is just briefly going back to Impact is I still am not, caught up or up to speed on the TV, but it's one of those things. It's gaining buzz. I'm hearing good things.
And they had Don Callis on the mic too, so I'm doing a commentary for it.
I did notice that on the couple of
YouTube
clips I watched. It was Don Callis and Josh Matthews, right?
Yep.
Who Josh Matthews does really bug me. It's like that WWE style announcing that just it's just like the cliches and the stuff that WWE announcers do.
Yeah.
It just sounds exactly like that, and so that kind of bothers me. Like when I watch a product that's not WWE, I don't want to be reminded of what WWE is, and Josh Matthews definitely does that. Whereas a guy like Matt Stryker, he comes from WWE, but he's so different from anything
He won
that they
me
do.
over in Lucha Underground, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is a lot of people are really bothered by how Matt Stryker's style.
Yep.
So I'm with you. I kind of like what he does in Lucha Underground. So. But yeah, just a different style that doesn't remind me of WWE type announcing, which altogether isn't generally bad. Especially, I mean, Michael Cole does good. Tom Phillips just kind of sounds like a carbon copy of Michael Cole, and then Mauro Ranallo, who does all the buzzwords and all the corporate stuff that you have to as a WWE announcer, but he still has,
loves saying that stuff.
Well, and he still brings his own flair to it too, where it's not like you could kind of tell. Well, I'm saying sports entertainment and local medical facility and back of the neck because those are the things that I'm supposed to say, but he brings the passion to it that I really appreciate. So, but anyway, what were we talking about again? Greatest Royal Rumble. Let's
Change the subject.
Let's start with the cruiserweight match. Should I even play the thing here? 205.
Weird question.
Are you a cruiserweight? Did want to quickly talk about 205 Live because it was a gauntlet match this week.
Yeah, good episode.
That led to who the number one contender would be to Cedric Alexander's championship here at the Greatest Royal Rumble. So I didn't get a chance to see 205
Man, you
this week.
fucked up.
So maybe I'll have to go back and check it out because it sounds like it was a good show.
Yeah, it was a gauntlet match since Buddy Murphy missed his way, so I was kind of I guess this was the punishment that Drake Maverick was going to do a gauntlet match.
Okay.
It started off with Cedric Alexander against not Cedric.
Cedric's the champ, so
it was Mustafa Ali, and then he went on. God, I don't remember who was the first round, but yeah. He won the first two rounds. Drew Gulak came out, and he picked up the victory over Mustafa Ali, and then he got his victory over Tony Nese. So there's very good storytelling progress going on there. Made Gulak look really strong. Oh, TJB was the first eliminated.
Okay.
Just right off the bat, a good long match too to start it off. They didn't do that quick, one and done bullshit to get the first match out of the way. No, they pushed Mustafa Ali, so he went into the second match injured. Gulak comes out, so fucking awesome storytelling. Like I just said, keeping Gulak looking strong, keeping this feud going on with Tony Nese and everything, and Kalisto came out and he picked up the victory to go on.
So I do like we talked kind of the fantasy booking scenario last week of how we would have liked the Buddy Murphy story told in a slightly different order. Mm-hmm. But what did they do with Buddy Murphy this week? Was he just not on the show?
Just wasn't on the show, no.
Just because he didn't make
the weight.
They
acknowledged that he missed weight, and Mustafa Ali did cut a promo saying, "Hey, I'm not letting this opportunity slip through my fingers again." Blah blah blah. Well, he did, so kind of setting him back.
A good story there too, because Mustafa Ali being the first guy in the gauntlet match, that's the toughest spot to win a gauntlet match from.
Yeah.
I was almost going to say when you said he was the first one, that's almost unfair because he made it to the finals of the tournament that Cedric Alexander eventually won. It almost feels like Mustafa Ali should have gotten almost like a quote first round bye.
But he also just had his chance too, so
right. So, but yeah, that's an interesting story there. And then talk about the guy who won the whole thing, Kalisto.
Yeah, Kalisto. He just came out and it was was it him and Gulak? See, I don't remember. Yeah, it was. Okay. Gulak's doing everything he can do to keep him grounded, and there's a good point where Kalisto did a running dive out there, and Gulak just fucking threw his body around the side barrier and just fucking hard hitting action. Like 205 is fucking, they're on a roll, man. They're doing real good there, and every single guy that came out on that show in that gauntlet match looked fucking strong, looked good. Every match, was worth watching. There's no I need a fast forward moment.
Right, yeah. And the entirety of the show, you said, was this gauntlet series or whatever.
I love how
cool.
they're setting up episodes like this in a sense where it's not just, oh, hey, let's just do a giant fucking tag match, blah, blah, blah. No, fucking, we're getting a story with, the same five guys for the whole fucking episode, but we're continuing, and no one looked weak. No one looked like a bitch in the end.
So, greatest Royal Rumble, it'll be Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto. I almost forgot because I had the wrong name written down here, Buddy Murphy, because they were giving him that push, but then I forgot about the weight cutting storyline that they're putting out there. So Kalisto versus Cedric Alexander at the Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm thinking Cedric Alexander just retains here, but it should be a good opening match if that's what they decide to do with it at the grrr.
It'll be the grrr. Same.
All right, let's move on to a little bit of SmackDown tag titles. It's going to be the Usos taking on the Bludgeon Brothers. They've done a pretty good job telling this story, building up the Bludgeon Brothers. The Usos on a hell of a run the last half a year or so. It's nice that they're doing a straight up tag match here. I'm hoping that the Usos get the titles back, but it might be the Bludgeon Brothers keeping them here. What do you think, Taco?
Are we kind of fucking Smackdown this week? Best distraction ever, I must say. With Naomi coming out for the Usos. It was great because it was one of the few times my girlfriend was sitting down and watching it with me, and she's probably less familiar with SmackDown than Raw, if anything. And that match is going on. She's not paying attention. Naomi's music hits. She looks up, and I'm like, oh, this is the stupidest shit. Really, this kind of a distraction. And then she's like, I'm distracted. I was like, I guess it worked. And, the Uso got that, the roll-up win. So, going into the girl looking strong and everything. And I
did remember when she came out, because the week before they did the thing where she kind of came out and did she didn't do a routine. She ran out to, save her husband. Oh, my God, stop the beatings.
Well, that's what I was dogging on, was like, oh, her distraction's going to be her fucking dancing.
It was, but it worked. The Bludgeon Brothers are like, huh? What bright colors over here. So it felt good because the Bludgeon Brothers are dumb heels, and it didn't make your baby faces look dumb. It made them look good. So that was kind of a fun moment there. But I'm kind of thinking the Bludgeons are gonna retain here. Again, with this, it's a big show with a lot of stuff on it. This grr, but it doesn't feel like we're gonna get a lot of title changes. But I think it depends on what they decide to do on top with the Universal title. That will, I think, affect what. If you see a lot of changes on the undercard, I'm not going to expect to see a big change in the main event. So it really depends on what they roll out come Friday.
We'll get to it when we get to that part.
Absolutely. For the Intercontinental title, The Miz on SmackDown taking on Rollins, the current champion, on Raw, Finn Balor on Raw, and Samoa Joe on SmackDown. So there's a chance here, both with the IC and the US title match, that the championships could switch brands once again, or switch back. Is that what we're doing? The US ended up back on SmackDown, but there's a chance that they could switch again, because in the US title it's Jeff Hardy in the rematch versus Jinder, so that could switch, and then the IC title could switch over to SmackDown with The Miz and or Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's talked about it in his great promos, mostly talking about what's going to be him versus Roman at Fastlane.
Roman!
Roman Reigns.
I love the way he says names.
And just the intensity that Joe brings and the realism to his talking. It doesn't feel like the same old scripted crap, which is nice. And same thing with Miz. Miz has been talking butts into seats a little bit the last year and a half or so, and the big program coming up, obviously, with Daniel Bryan is a story that they've been building up for a year and a half now or so. And really, the entirety of the Miz and Daniel Bryan's WWE career.
Day one,
when he came in with that first ever NXT or whatever, pre-Nexus, and the Miz was Daniel Bryan's superstar,
right,
or whatever. So this goes all the way back to there, but not obviously Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Miz. What do you think, Taco? Do you think the title is going to switch brands, or does Rollins or Finn Balor retain here?
I'm leaning towards Rollins retaining here, but I really do want to see the title switched up a little bit, because I want Miz to kind of break those records with the Intercontinental Championship. He's just someone that's definitely earned it in a time where it's there's a lot of great talent out there for that specific title. So yeah, I would like to see him in the record books with it. Is now the time? I don't know necessarily. He still has plenty of time on his career, and he's sneaking up on that. But I'm really pulling for Samoa Joe to win this fucking shit. I want to see him with that gold walkout, going into that fucking match with Roman Reigns super fucking cocky.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like,
and then,
that's what I want to fucking see.
yeah, I'd like to see that too. I've been kind of clamoring for that IC title to get on somebody more credible. I like what The Miz has been doing, but again, it's the WWE style heel character, and it plays into what you were talking about too, with him being the longest whatever reigning or number of days champion or whatever. Because he's had it for the longest number of days total, but like, you know, with like Roman Reigns winning it for a month when he's away, and Seth Rollins winning it, you know, for a month here if he wins it right back, plays into that heat. Well, like, you've had it for so many days or whatever, but you keep losing it, but then you get it back because of the bullshit and the skullduggery and
distractions. Too many distractions.
It's just
skullduggery.
His character works so perfect with that championship. Not the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship. And to me, there's more prestige behind that championship than the U.S. title, WWE-wise. So just like you said, he is such the WWE superstar. So it's just it's so perfect. But at the same time, I'm clamoring for like a Rollins to have it. I want a Samoa Joe to have it. Fuck, I want to see it Andrade at this point. But so you know, Finn Balor. You know, there's so much great talent out there. You know, tons of fucking talent. Like, we're in such a great age of wrestling right now. It's like we can make a fucking Bible, you know, length of names that should be holding on to that above the Miz. But yeah, you know, I'm going to be rooting for Joe on this one.
Yeah, it's hard to make a prediction. I'm tired of the Miz Intercontinental title show, even though a lot of people are still into it, again, with the numbers and everything.
What I'm saying, we don't need it now. He still has plenty of time on his career, so he can still get to that record and a year, 2 years from now.
I kind of like the idea of the titles switching shows here again. I love your idea of Samoa Joe going in cocky to the match with Roman being the Intercontinental Champion, potential for champion versus champion if Roman wins that Universal title. Finn Balor, he's a guy, I just feel like I want him heated up. I want him back in the main event picture, but I could see him winning here, but I'm going to officially predict Rollins to retain here. He just won the thing. He's had that, you know, he's had a big push going into WrestleMania. Talk about gauntlet matches.
Yeah.
He had that hour-long Monday Night Raw gauntlet match showing where he was in the ring for over an hour. Let's have him win this thing and have a nice long run with this Intercontinental Championship. Have him have some really good matches. Have him be the good match guy and defend this title. I mean, we've got the big lumbering main eventers on Monday Night Raw with Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. You got Bobby Lashley up in that picture now, Samoa Joe, even though he's over on SmackDown. But you've got your giant heavyweights in for the Universal title picture. Let's have Rollins and Finn Balor and some of these, you know, more athletic guys have awesome matches for the Intercontinental title. So I want Rollins to retain and be the workhorse. Bring back the workhorse moniker back to the Intercontinental title that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did back in the 90s. I think that would be kind of cool. All right, let's talk about the WWE title match. I'm not doing these in any specific order. It's just the order I wrote them down in, so I'm just kind of going off my sheet here. WWE title rematch from WrestleMania, AJ Styles versus the newly heel Shinsuke Nakamura. A lot of people loving this heel version of Shinsuke. I think it was a very necessary move. I didn't see it coming. That's what I loved about it, too.
It's just so unfortunate that the heat and the excitement going into this match, I wish they were able to bring into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's just that turn was perfect at WrestleMania to get to this spot.
Yeah, it really makes me think that this might actually be the better match, just because we've got there's heat now, there's interest, more so. I mean, we had the dream match thing going into WrestleMania, but just the fact that you know, AJ's looking for revenge for the low blows and the turning against him and all that.
It's almost like they did the Asuka thing and end the streak, get it out of the way, get that distraction out of the way. Dream match, get it done, get it out of the way. Yeah. So that's what it kind of feels like to me.
Yeah. Nakamura's got some new theme music. They added a little hick hop to his music. What'd you think of that?
I dug it. Like Corey Graves said, he needed to change up the music because he got sick of the WWE universe singing to his theme. I think Brian Saxton was like, "Oh, y'all habla español."
I like it too. It's a little bit of a change up, and yeah, again, it'll maybe curtail the singing along a little bit, but I think
it's still badass too.
It is, Ben. I think though, people are into the Nakamura heel turn because it was a necessity. They didn't really like nice Nakamura, and being mean and cocky Nakamura is what got him over in Japan too. Let's not forget he comes from Chaos, which has roots as a heel organization in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Super nice Nakamura and super nice AJ. It's just like, yeah, you guys are phenomenal and great, but there's just nothing to sell there. And I'll just like fucking just this bullshit that Nakamura's doing. It's great. We need it.
So what's your official prediction?
God, I feel like there's gonna be some sort of skullduggery because if AJ wins this one cleanly, where do you go with Nakamura after this one? You know, I kind of want to see this feud go on a little bit longer with heel Nakamura. So I almost want to say these two guys are just gonna fucking just beat the shit out of each other and probably get like a DQ in one way or another. Or
could see that,
or just fucking AJ just flat out return the low blow right to Nakamura.
Yeah, I could see the DQ, the skullduggery. Interesting stuff there. I think it, and I haven't decided. I haven't decided which way to go for the main event, Roman versus Lesnar yet either. And I think this depends on what they decide to do there. If they keep, if this quote short-term deal that Lesnar signed is for one match or is it for more, we'll know whether or not Roman wins. Well, and actually we don't know because short-term deal could mean a rematch down the road, could mean anything. So, and I won't believe I won't believe that Lesnar's going back to UFC until he enters the testing pool. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago too, how he might only end up serving a couple of 3 months or whatever.
Basically, yeah, less than 6 months.
But the experts that I've heard have been saying it's going to be at least 6 months for when he re-enters the testing pool. So once he redoes that, then I'll believe he's going.
What
back
better way to be
UFC.
like in Saudi Arabia saying, "Oh, hey, I'm in the testing pool again. Get on the airplane."
Right.
Get some time in between. Because the moment he says, "Hey, I'm in," they're pounding on that door.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm leaning towards AJ retaining here. Could be DQ situation like you said. Just doesn't feel like the momentum is behind Nakamura. Although it would be a good story, Nakamura winning with a little bit of a WWE classic heel skullduggery.
I'm just worried that I can't really judge how a Saudi crowd's going to react to a wrestling show. I think they're just maybe be so fucking excited that Baron Corbin could win a fucking championship and they would probably cheer.
Right,
it.
that's the thing is I don't know their level of exposure. I don't think that they're watching Raw and SmackDown and are up to speed on
I think they are
on the WWE
Internet's
product.
Powerful.
They certainly could be, but I think they're just going to be excited to have this kind of big show,
Exactly.
and they're going to be reacting.
They're essentially getting a WrestleMania.
Right, they're going to be reacting well, I think, to everything, no matter what it is. But then again, if you're putting pro wrestling in front of a crowd that hasn't seen a lot of pro wrestling, and this is one of the rare moments that you get some skullduggery
see the shitty
on a big
Nakamura
show
coming out.
They might react, the way you're supposed to act to a guy acting shitty, and they might boo the shit out of skullduggery and distractions and bullshit. So that might be a good thing.
And they might. I don't even want to say it.
Okay.
I don't want to say it.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Jinder Mahal versus Jeff Hardy rematch for the U.S. title. Jinder on SmackDown, or not Jinder, Jeff Hardy on SmackDown with the U.S. title, and Jinder on Raw. I'm going to predict Jeff Hardy retains, since I predicted Rollins retains his, but I do love the idea of the title switching
here. Do they switch though? Because the bar was talking about, well, I guess it's the Raw tag titles, so. it makes sense that if they won those, they would go back to SmackDown.
That's interesting. Yeah, if Jinder won the U.S. title back, would he then go back to SmackDown? And then if Miz or Samoa Joe wins the IC title, do they then go back to Raw?
Jinder was already demanding to go back to SmackDown on Raw. It was great. So saying this fucking Jinder has been on a roll these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not mad at where Jinder is right now on the grand scheme of the Raw thing.
Even sending the other Singh brother out on SmackDown was a fucking good move. It goes right into his heel bullshit.
Yep.
The Singh brother we haven't seen for a while.
Yep. And yeah, just him being in the U.S. title picture. It's not the main event picture, so it feels right for him. You know, he got elevated to champion on SmackDown for 6 months last year, and it was a disaster.
Well, God, even if this was the heel we saw during that title run, I would have liked it more. Like, how come when he was WWE champion, he wasn't saying, "Hey, how come I'm not treated like Lesnar?" That would have been a great time to do that.
Yeah. So what do you think? Again, I like the idea of Jinder winning it back and taking that title to Raw and the IC title moving over to SmackDown.
That's what I'm leaning. I'm sticking with Joe. I'm going to stick with Jinder.
Okay. I'm just because of my Rollins prediction again, I'm officially going to stick with Hardy here. But
and that's if I guess I'm hoping the titles do switch if the right guys win.
Let's talk about this casket match with The Undertaker. Again, huge show, lots of money. They're bringing in The Undertaker. Chris Jericho got in on this thing. For a while, it started off as Undertaker versus Rusev. They switched it for a cup of coffee to Chris Jericho versus Rusev. And then there's some Twitter shenanigans and whatnot.
Lana gave him permission to go do it.
Right. And so they end up going back to Undertaker versus Rusev. Interesting stuff here with the popularity of Rusev Day and all of that. Him kind of turning babyface a little bit, but then just kind of getting buried with losses and whatnot. And then what did they do? He was teaming up with Nakamura, so Rusev is back on the heel side again versus the AJ and the Club on SmackDown. So he's kind of been all over the place, Rusev here, but the crowd still firmly behind him despite the story that they're trying to shove down our throat with Rusev. So it kind of just feels like a literal burial of Rusev getting over here. But I don't have a lot of expectations going into this based on what we saw from John Cena and Undertaker at WrestleMania. But I'm thinking Undertaker gets it here. What do you think, Taco?
Predictions.
Yep, up until about 20 seconds ago, I had it in my head that this was going to be a buried alive match. I was like, oh yeah, obvious win for Rusev. Taker doesn't win buried alive matches. No, it's a fucking casket match. Duh. So yeah, Undertaker's going to win this one. Fucking go Rusev though, man. Shit, this would be a good fucking win for him. But
yeah, I'm very curious how the crowd reacts to Undertaker and Rusev in Saudi Arabia. Again, I don't know what their level of familiarity is with these characters. Are they going to react negatively to a quote dead man coming out? And how are they going to react to an aggressive, angry Russian in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. These are very interesting.
Bulgarian.
Sorry, yes, Bulgarian. My bad. But yeah, how are they going to react to these types of characters in that environment? It's very curious, very, very curious about those things. John Cena versus Triple H. Not a lot of heat here, but I mean, this has been a feud from the past, coming back now. A couple of big past main eventers meeting again. I think this should be good. I don't think it'll be awesome. I don't think it'll steal the show by any means. But
this will be your professional wrestling match.
yeah. But I think Cena has maybe one. I think Cena will go into this match with something to prove. You know, coming off of that WrestleMania match with the Undertaker, it was just going through the motions with the Undertaker. I think Cena is going to look to have a good showing here, and Triple H always likes to have a good match, especially since it's not
often.
It
would make almost more sense for Cena to call it Undertaker for this. Be like, no, we ain't doing that. But.
Yeah, but I think this should be good. I'm looking for, it's hard to predict a winner here too. I'm thinking Cena just because of the loss at WrestleMania. Get a little bit of
Cena needs it.
Steam back. Yeah, who'd have thought we'd ever say Cena needs a win here? But there's potential for,
skullduggery.
Stephanie McMahon could be out there. Maybe get, no, you're not going to see Stephanie McMahon out there.
No.
Nope, never mind. Sorry about that. But who knows? Maybe he has some NXT minions that that maybe this is where Sanity shows up or something.
Right.
I think it'll be straight up.
But just give him an old school feud.
Yeah. But yeah, you think Cena's going to get the victory
Cena
here
will pick it up too.
Moving back over to Raw, you brought it up earlier, the tag team titles, the Bar, who have moved to SmackDown, potential to win it back versus the Deleter of Worlds, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt has talked about, I don't know where, but I just saw it somewhere, that he has an idea for bringing the Miztourage into the broken universe, which, of course, with Bo Dallas being Bray Wyatt's real-life brother.
Come purify yourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yes, or the Lake of Reincarnation, whatever floats your boat, whatever floats your Skarsgård. That could be interesting there. I noticed that Bo has been trying to grow the beard a little bit more the last year or so. So that might be interesting. But yeah, I'm finally more interested in what Bray Wyatt has been doing.
They've been working great together.
Yeah. So that's been fun. But I've really been a big fan of the Bar here too. But I do like the move of the Bar to SmackDown. I like the potential for the new matchups there. You know, the matchup with the Usos feels fresh. The New Day in the Bar feels fresh. The Bludgeon Brothers is, as much as I'm not a fan of that push right now, I really like Luke Harper, and I like what the Bludgeon Brothers are doing in the ring. It's just that the gimmick is just.
I love it. It's
so I mean, yeah, there's two sides to
I'm
everything.
a gimmick whore though. So.
Yeah, and, a lot of people are. So that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm interested with Sanity too.
Yeah, that's yeah, with those guys coming to SmackDown
there, but
so we got a lot of big tag team stuff going on at SmackDown.
I really need some tag teams. It seems like,
and Raw is like it feels like they're kind of promoting more singles guys pairing up, like McIntyre and Ziggler.
That's true. Which I'm liking, man. That promo was fire on Raw.
That McIntyre promo was exactly what it needed.
Finally, to be. Dolph Ziggler's scratch makes fucking sense.
I don't know about that, but but I do. Yeah, I like McIntyre just kind of putting the locker room on notice, just saying, people are here collecting paychecks, and I'm what a superstar looks like and sounds like and acts like,
which is great because everything he fucking said is Dolph Ziggler.
Right, collecting a paycheck. Well, I even took it further because even like a guy like Roman Reigns, like on radio interviews, he said things in the past like, I just show up and do what I'm told and collect my paycheck.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that kind of puts a guy like Roman Reigns on notice. And I'll talk about Reigns' stuff more when we get to the main event. But
right.
I think that all plays into it. So a little bit of reality, I feel like, in that promo, even though maybe I'm reading too much into it.
I like how people are comparing them to fucking Big Sexy and HBK back in the day, like.
Ooh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's so I've been like, yeah, that's a fucking good comparison for today's day, and to put in today's day and age, and it's definitely put more interest in me, and I'm fucking loving that record. I'm not loving it, but no, this was the first time, fucking hearing those fucking drums and the bagpipes of Drew McIntyre coming out, and it's like, God damn it!
Mostly
it fucking got me this week.
Mostly because I dig McIntyre's music and him coming out to it.
Mm-hmm. But that works with that heelness of them, though. It got me. Gonna get got.
So yeah, new life for Ziggler. But yeah, again, the Raw tag teams, it feels like they're just pairing guys together, and they're moving the actual tag teams more so on the SmackDown side of things. So I almost feel like the Bar could win here, and we unify the Raw and SmackDown tag team championships, and just with the co-branded pay-per-views now, I feel like they're going to be slowly working back to one set of championships and maybe one at a time.
Keep that Universal title around for a while.
Certainly. But I like the idea. I just like that idea. I don't predict that they're going to do that here. I think the Deleter of Worlds will retain it feels like they're getting behind that act on the Raw side of things. But again, it's two singles guys thrown together, and that's kind of the Raw tag teams right now.
It's working, though. I want to see that broken army, the woken army, develop.
Yeah. So any different prediction for you? I imagine keeping it on the Deleters of Worlds.
Predictions.
I'm actually going to go Bar on this one. The Raw still needs a tag team.
Yeah.
So, God, I want the Bar to stay on SmackDown, though. It's just such a good fucking tag team roster they got there. And this is with them not being on Raw, because, they were just two singles guys thrown together, and they really fucking pounded it out.
Yeah.
And, we are a Bar. So, I would like to see this stay on SmackDown to see, give the Revival a chance, give Breezango a chance, give Ascension a fucking chance. So,
on Raw, you mean?
On Raw, exactly. So, this might be their opportunity, to get these talent going, tag team wise, since these guys are already, so established and already ready to go. Yeah,
it would be nice if the Bar re-win, that's not a word, but if they win the Raw Tag Team Championships, go back to Raw, but then build up the Revival and Ascension and those teams that you talked about. But they've spent so much time burying the Ascension now. Breezango is a comedy act who everybody gets into. Like, remember those great matches that Breezango had like a year ago on SmackDown, on the pay-per-views? Like, they're doing costume changes and shit, goofy shit, but having good matches. And I want to see that Breezango again. We know the Revival can have good matches down at NXT, but that injury bug bit them right when they came up to the main roster, so Vince just doesn't trust them yet. So I'd really like to see all of those teams built back up. But I think if the Bar moved back to Raw, it's just going to become the Bar show again, and I don't think those teams will have room to breathe.
That's what I'm saying. So that's kind of like to keep them on SmackDown for that reason. So fuck. All right, I changed my answer.
It's a lot of, but it's cool that there's a lot of intriguing stuff going on with that tag division and where those titles end up. Do they stay on Raw, or whatever? Or did the Bar win them and go back to Raw, or whatever?
No, that's what they said. If they wanted them to go, they would go back to Raw.
Oh, so they did.
They
say
got
that.
up in New Day's face on SmackDown as they're drinking champagne with bootios in there and pancakes everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, they're just saying that they can't wait to win the Raw tag titles back to get the hell out of here.
Of course. All right. Well, then we have the match itself that the show is being talked about or billed after the greatest Royal Rumble match, the 50-man Royal Rumble match. That's a lot of men. They're
getting a lot of names out for this.
That is so many professional.
So many professional wrestlers lined up, boots laced, oiled, and ready to rock.
That's a lot of pro wrestlers there. I really hope that they do that. Like, I really hope they have like a new guy every 30 seconds or something like that, so that this doesn't stretch out too long. And it'll keep it interesting too, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of moments where you've got your R-Truths and Gold Dusts of the world in there. Your Zack Ryders, all your mid card guys.
Some good surprises back.
It'll be interesting to see what they'll have for surprises. Obviously, Chris Jericho.
I want to say Mysterio's been announced.
I haven't heard
Don't
that
quote me on
officially,
that,
but
whatever.
That's certainly a possibility. He's been talking.
I know Shane McMahon.
Ooh,
do we get any entries on that?
Do we what?
No? Do we get any entries on the Shane mimic sounds?
I don't know what you're talking about, but you mean the
contest?
Yeah, we didn't get any submissions.
Man, I was going to submit mine. Fuck.
But yeah, Shane is in there. What do you think for a winner? We got some potentials here.
Tatanka.
Braun Strowman will be in there.
But Mark Henry will be in there too.
Mark Henry is in it. That's right. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are names in there. You said Shane McMahon, Elias. I think my prediction is Daniel Bryan. This goes back a few years now with Daniel Bryan coming back right before the Royal Rumble a few years ago, and he was in that match with the Wyatts or whatever. They tried to turn him heel, and he was in that match with the Wyatts, and he wasn't in the Royal Rumble. Everybody wanted him in the Royal Rumble. Number 30 comes around, and it was Rey Mysterio. He gets booed out of the building. Poor Rey Mysterio.
Poor Ray.
And that was the one where Roman won, and The Rock came out and tried to endorse him after the thing, and everybody boos him out of the building. And so ever since then, everybody's been clamoring for Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble. I think it was the next year he was in it, but then eliminated early.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. I think that'd be a really cool feel-good story. And then he's got momentum going for the WWE title over on SmackDown there.
I think this would be a good opportunity for Big Cass to eliminate Dan Bryan and rake in those boosts more. Because sidebar, fucking Cass was awesome on SmackDown.
Yeah, not too bad.
Fucking, he's been working on that mic skills. It wasn't one of those promos.
He was a little better, but I liked it because he was getting heat.
Yeah, it was legit heat.
Yeah.
He looked like a badass. He was fluid with everything he was saying. He won me over and impressed me over.
Talking shit to the internet. I didn't have to work the bingo halls and the indie circuit and blah blah blah. I got here because I'm Big Cass. Just good stuff from Cass.
So I Dan O'Brien winning would be cool. I'm definitely DB fan there, but yeah, get some more heat on Cass. Get that elimination out on them.
And they're building up to that
kind of a
singles match.
I don't want to say a whatever moment. You're just kind of winning a trophy, I believe. So
they haven't.
I think Bryan winning the actual Royal Rumble would be a holy fuck moment again.
Yeah, because they haven't. I don't think to this point they've put any stakes on this Royal Rumble. It's just the greatest Royal Rumble.
Cassie eliminates him too in this moment. It's not going to be the "I'm going to hit you forever" kind of elimination.
I would think though, whoever they decide to have, whoever wins this thing, should get some sort of title shot down the line, citing, "Hey, I won the best Royal Rumble.
Right.
I should get a title shot." Maybe the winner of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal should chime in and do the same thing. But you never know. Who even won that?
Matt Hardy.
That's right, Matt Hardy won the thing.
I imagine some guys are gonna be pulling double duty that night.
How much of an afterthought was that stupid Andre the Giant Memorial? I didn't even remember who won the thing. So it would be nice if they book it to have a big winner win the thing and go on to challenge for a championship. Maybe not right away, obviously, because they've got things booked for Fastlane already. But obviously, they should be thinking about this in advance because it's pro wrestling. They should be, obviously they should be promoting this thing so that the winner of this thing gets a big title shot soon.
You'd think.
But I don't know. I like the Dan. What's your prediction?
Ooh, fuck. I just want to say Rusev. Fuck it.
He's getting buried by the Undertaker, so he might not. I mean, it's natural to say he might not even be in it, but with having to put 50 people in,
some guys are gonna be doing double duty.
Exactly. I think everybody might be doing double duty. So the potential for Cena, potential for Triple H, even potential for AJ Styles or whoever. So yeah, there's a lot of different things there. So all right, we've teased it throughout the night here. The big main event, where I'm assuming maybe it might not. Maybe the actual Royal Rumble could be the main event, but I don't think so. I think they might save the Universal Championship.
The cage match.
Cage match. I forgot to note that thing too. Roman Reigns challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal title once again. Rematch from WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania 2.0, the greatest Royal Rumble.
Tony the Tiger's pissed.
What's that? Oh, Tony the Tiger. Look at this one in there.
What does that mean?
This is intriguing. I mean, it was an ass whooping at WrestleMania, and then going back to what I was going to talk about with Roman Reigns' promo this week. Man, he came out and felt like his give a fuck was gone.
Oh yeah,
he looked like he was bored. He looked like he didn't care. He's just like, "I'm going to take your title, believe that." It was like, and it was such a contrast to the Paul Heyman thing. Him coming out, him and Lesnar. Lesnar was like engaged and like giddy about what Paul Heyman was saying, and Paul Heyman's talking shit and talking about like, "Yeah, we didn't go back to UFC right now, but Brock Lesnar is itching for a cage fight, and we're going to have a cage fight in Saudi Arabia." And so I just loved that whole thing. And yeah, fucking it's great because to me it plays into my feelings as a podcaster, as a super fan, as a guy that's not the biggest Roman Reigns fan, and not to say that I like what he does in the ring. I just don't like his role as the number one pushed guy. So here he feels like an asshole. He feels like a heel. He feels like he's coming out and his give a fuck is gone and like, whatever, I'm gonna take your title, believe that. and so that plays into my interest in the match. But let's let's pay attention to the side of the audience, because I feel like it's a big side of the audience that hasn't really liked Brock Lesnar for a long time, just because of his privileged status, his privileged schedule, the fact that he's held the title and kept it off of Raw for over a year now.
I feel like Saudi Arabia would appreciate those smarts to make that money, do less work.
But work smarter, not harder. Yes. But again, with Saudi Arabia paying all the money, do they save the big title change? That's the big speculation. Everybody was assuming it was going to be at WrestleMania. I don't like the part of the story where, after WrestleMania happens, Roman comes out on Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania, and he's like, they didn't smarten me up. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I was supposed to lose the match. All that stuff. I didn't like that kind of mixing the work shoot kind of thing in that just kind of convoluted the story. Felt a little Russo to me.
My botch.
But I am very intrigued, like I said, with just Roman just feels like the heel in this situation. But where are you on because I can totally see the side of where the people are upset with. People don't like Brock Lesnar. They want to see him leave. They want to see him go. They want to see him lose the title, and they don't care if it's Roman winning the title. And let's face it, there is a large contingency of fans that are Roman Reigns fans, and I think that would be a feel good moment for them too. I don't know. What do you? I threw a lot at you there.
See, I'm still Team Lesnar. The dude is just a fucking freak, and he's so fun to watch. And good guy, bad guy, he gets my eyeballs on him every fucking time. No matter what company he's in, I'm watching the Brock Lesnar show. Roman Reigns, I was so stoked with him. A lot of people weren't so excited with that match going into WrestleMania. I was more stoked going into that one than I was WrestleMania 30, and I was not upset with the outcome of it. I love that. It was just a pure ass whooping. That's what Brock Lesnar does. He's a fucking beast. There's a reason why he's playing contract negotiation between, quote fake fighting and quote real fighting. So he's just that kind of athlete, and he reminds me of the old school athletes. Seeing that like Suzuki-gun has a record, Nakamura has an MMA record. So it's awesome. And going back to the days where the guys were in and out of boxing or whatever too. So he keeps that spirit alive, and I fucking love it. And I do like a guy that can bring an air of legitimacy to pro wrestling. It's just him not being on TV that often. Well, fucking
makes it special.
The UFC champion isn't on TV all the fucking time either. Yeah, all their champions. It gives others just time to shine in a sense. And if it was the WWE title and the Universal title in that situation, yeah, I'd be fucking peeved too. I was more pissed off when Goldberg was barely on TV with the title. Lesnar, it works for me. It's his shtick. I'm kind of leaning on the Lesnar side here. I think the Saudi Arabia fans might appreciate the fucking beast of a monster coming out laying an ass whoop on Roman Reigns. But like I said, it's hard to judge a crowd like that. We know how a Chicago crowd's going to react or a Philly crowd's going to react.
Right. That's what everybody's talking about too.
I know that is the big rumbling. It's like, we can put the championship on Roman Reigns with less booze.
Right. Well,
but he's going to come home to a lot more.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing is that. But will he though? Will people, when he shows up on Raw with the championship, will there be a 50%, 30%, or 60% that cheers for Roman because he got the title off of Lesnar?
I'm on the Roman side. I like what Roman's been doing lately too. I'm just gonna go Team Lesnar though. I like what Lesnar's doing more. He's just the beast monster, and especially with how we're doing the co-branded shows nowadays. I don't need the Universal title on every pay-per-view.
No, and you shouldn't, because you want to build it up.
I like that build up to these titles. I want to see that build up on Raw every week. 2 months later, maybe get Brock Lesnar appearance with a month build up or something like that, and we could focus on the real prize possession of the WWE Championship.
Yep, you didn't get to see Hulk Hogan defend the WWF Championship every week or every month, even back in the 80s. It was it was a rare occasion, and so I think that's smart not to compare Brock Lesnar to Hulk Hogan. But I had another point. God damn it, now I forgot it too. I was just on the tip of my brain, then I went off on that tangent, and now I lost it. Roman Reigns. And okay. Here's the thing: is as much as I would love to see the heel turn, the full on Roman Reigns heel turn, it just I don't think it would work at this point. And I'm resigned that they're giving him the Cena push that we saw 10 years ago and up to the last. I don't know, because he really stopped being the top guy maybe 3 years ago, whenever Roman took over. So about 3-4 years ago.
Fuck, almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, almost. But that Cena push where everybody was clamoring, the internet was screaming, turn this guy heel, turn this guy heel. I don't think it's going to happen with Roman, so I'm kind of resigned to that. So I'll take moments like this where, in my mind, he is the bad guy, and I want to see Lesnar retain. But there's so many questions with the Lesnar contract. But sticking with the Roman Reigns side of it, I like what he does in the ring, even though it's pretty simple. He gets reactions. He gets the right moments there. They build up to near falls well. But going back to what they did at WrestleMania with Lesnar just dominating and just whooping Roman's ass, even though he kicked out of 5 F5s or whatever, or it took that many to finally defeat him. The story was about Lesnar whooping his ass, and I just can't see WWE whooping Roman Reigns' ass to that degree again. So I feel like it's not going to be the opposite, but I feel like it's going to be a more straight-up match. Roman Reigns is...
Does Saudi Arabia allow blood and pile drivers?
I'm sure they'll allow whatever we want, whatever WWE wants to do. I don't know. WWE doesn't really allow pile drivers itself, so there's that. I'm predicting Roman here. I'm just thinking that's the way it's going to go. It's the popular pick. It's the predictable pick. But I'm with you. I just want to see it again. I want to see Brock come out and do the same thing. I want Samoa Joe to be right when he comes out next week. I'm going to see, you're a loser, dude. I'm going to beat you at Fastlane on Sunday. Fuck off. So I'm digging that story right now. So I gotta, that's what I want, but I'm thinking Roman's going to win it. What's your official one, Taco?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lesnar on this one. He's just an ass-whooping machine, and I don't see him flying half across the world to lose a championship.
Okay, a couple other notes I wanted to mention from SmackDown and Raw before we move on. The Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn show from Monday Night Raw. I thought it was odd because they pointed out all the bad information or the bad storytelling along the way. They talked about it was Stephanie that hired them to Monday Night Raw after Kevin Owens headbutted Mr. McMahon last year on SmackDown and beat him down. So even though Shane had heat with that on SmackDown, that was one of the big reasons for all the heat on SmackDown. Stephanie doesn't care that much about her dad. She hires top talent over to Monday Night Raw,
which I think Vince McMahon would appreciate.
And they also point out that Kurt's fifth kid, Jason Jordan, and that Kurt Angle needs his job over on Monday Night Raw. I just thought those were just interesting moments on Raw. And then on the SmackDown side, I wanted to talk about they did the tag match with Becky Lynch and Asuka versus the Iconics. And it's not a huge deal right now, but this is what everybody was kind of afraid and screaming about. Might happen. It might be the starting of the devaluation of Asuka. I don't feel like it is yet, but I have a watchful eye on it here because it was Becky Lynch taking the loss versus the Iconics, and yes, you had the distractions and too many distractions. You had the skullduggery, of course. And so you had all the built-in excuses, but it was another loss for Asuka. Even though she didn't take the loss, it was a tag team partner or whatever. Right. But I'm looking at this thing sideways. I'm just like, what are you doing with that Asuka? She's a badass. And again, I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan too, and I've been sitting here waiting patiently, maybe not patiently, but I've been waiting for her get boosted back up to the championship picture as well, and they just keep beating her and beating her and beating her. So that doesn't make me happy either. But anything to say on that, Taco?
I like those two as a tag team.
Yeah,
they're two badasses. So, Asuka in a losing match, it doesn't affect me at all. It made the Iconics look good. They fucking just looking at them, they need some wins like that. I like what they do. I love what they do on the mic. They're fucking entertaining as hell, and to keep them as a good dominant threat. I wouldn't say they were really a dominant threat down in NXT, so kind of to make them some. I mean, they just took out fucking Charlotte, so they kind of need this wave right now because Asuka can pick that up just like that.
I agree that them on the mic getting the heat and all that is pretty good, but to me it was a little bit much. I was like, okay, you're laying it on pretty thick. I mean, hey, WWE laying something on thick with heels. That's not that's not new at all. So there was that, but yeah, again. They're building them up, so at the end of the day, that's fine because Becky Lynch is where she is right now. Asuka herself didn't take the loss, and again, the built-in excuse of the distractions and the skullduggery it leaves the plausible deniability. Although it does tend to make their baby faces not look as smart the more you do it. So there is all of that. All right,
and since we're on pounding in your face heels. I really did enjoy that contract sign between Charlotte and Mella. Fucking, I like Mella on the microphone. The fucking chick is fucking great. She has my attention. Yeah, we know her fucking ring work is nothing like Asuka or Becky Lynch or the Four Horsewomen. But she's owning it. She's everything she's saying on the microphone. It's like, yeah, fuck, god damn it. And her replaying that fucking video package and stand up for me and fucking there's Corey Graves, like it's so fucking good. And
she's the Miz of the women's division.
Yeah. And my girlfriend, she was watching SmackDown with me and she's like, our contract's signing. I'm like, yeah, these things fucking they suck. Someone's just gonna get punched in the face and fucking roll around some dumb shit, blah 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 blah. I'm fucking dying at Mel on the microphone and my girlfriend's just the whole time, and Charlotte comes out, and fucking it was slightly botched or whatever, just slamming her head on the table, but it was just so perfect. Sign contract, slam her head in the fucking table because Mella gets in her face, leave the ring. Like it was this simple, like Charlotte did the perfect thing there. I loved it. Just quick woo out.
Well, and the whole heat of the thing is that everybody knows Carmella isn't good in the ring, but she talks all this shit. Everybody knows that Charlotte is great in the ring, so they're just clamoring to see Charlotte get her hands on her and get that title back. So it's perfect heat. So all of that is working right now. So. The only other thing I wanted to touch on from SmackDown was we talked about the big Cass promo and Nakamura's music, but Daniel Bryan's promo I thought was really fucking good too. Just him responding to Big Cass and how, you know what, everybody's the same size when they're on the mat tapping out. And I just love that aspect of Daniel Bryan, like talking about, he's going Zack Sabre Jr. on it. He's like, I'm going to be a submission guy and fucking tap people out and bring that aspect of the game. So
he needs to change his ring work a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. So I like that.
And that match between Benjamin and Orton, man.
Yeah.
Fucking,
kind of out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. I thought it was a good little match, good little flashback match. It's good to see Shelton Benjamin back in singles competition again and getting a good fucking win over Randy Orton too in this day and age. So, hopefully we get to see him kind of elevated a little bit more too in some of these matches.
All right, let's move on, change the subject a little bit. Before we talk NXT,
change the subject.
I want to do something we haven't done in a long time on this show.
No,
I want to talk a little bit of. I want to talk a little New Japan. I don't have my sounder on here, unfortunately, because we talk New Japan on Strong Honor. But this week, if you've made it this far in the program, congratulations.
I kind of went off a tangent there.
But usually we record Strong Honor on the same day that we record this podcast. But you weren't quite up to speed on your New Japan this week.
Yeah, I've been distracted by God of War, man. That fucking game is so sweet.
But so we didn't record Strong Honor today. I'm going to do a solo version either a Thursday or Friday. So look for that to drop late Thursday or Friday sometime. time. Hopefully I get one done tomorrow. Usually my work days on Thursdays are shorter, so hopefully I'll have time to get to Strong Honor tomorrow. But I did just want to briefly touch on a couple of big matches from New Japan last week. Nothing huge, nothing to really go out of your way to see.
Yeah.
But a decent match. Jay White for the IWGP US title.
I didn't get to see this one.
Versus David Finlay. A good match. David Finlay looked strong in the match.
Yeah, he looked good.
But yeah, nothing to really go out of your way to see. But I thought both shows overall, both of the Road to Dontaku, shows were relatively easy, digestible watches. Progressed the little storylines that they have building up well along the way, and a good match to top off the weekend between those two.
Going to that Jay White and Finlay match, though, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really fun, and the history of them being young lions and everything. I absolutely loved that Jay White was just being the dirty fucking heel and using the young lion moves in there, just screaming out. I'm like, you remember this? You remember this move? It was fucking awesome.
Putting him in the Boston Crab and into the lion. Go back to being a young boy. Yeah, good. And then David Finlay bringing some new offense to the match. I thought was a nice touch.
Finally, some progress I've been hoping for out of this guy.
And then the other big match from the weekend was the junior tag match, Hiromu and Bushi challenging Suzuki Gun, the Suzuki Gun Juniors, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and
Clint Dix.
El Desperado, excuse me. Yes, I made it so far into the show without having one, and there it was.
I know, every time I was about to say Clint Dix tonight, I remembered the name.
But yeah, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Desperado. The story there was that, they were having three-way tags between those two and Roppongi 3K, and everybody was clamoring for a straight-up tag match, and we finally got it here. And then Hiromu and Bushi, the Los Ingobernables faction of this, played baby faces in the match. They wanted to have a straight-up match, and then, of course, it was Suzuki Gun getting the whiskey bottle involved right in front of the fucking referee. He spits whiskey in one of the guy's faces, turns around and kicks the other guy in the nuts as they're going for their big MX, the super MX finisher, right in front of the referee. And then there's some more skullduggery. But Bushi does get a little bit of revenge and spits the black mist the green mist into Kanemaru's face. More skullduggery, more bullshit, and then the Suzuki Gun guys end up retaining the junior tag titles. So look for more rematches along the way. We are going to get, speaking of rematches, and I forget which show it is because I don't have it. I believe it's on the 29th. Yeah. Well, we got two big shows coming up this weekend. Not two huge shows, but two shows this week for New Japan, and some interesting main events for the show on the 27th. Juice is going to challenge Goto for the Never Openweight title. And then on the 29th, going back to those junior tags, those junior tag guys are going to have singles matches on the show on the 29th. And then the other, the heavyweight tag from Suzuki Gun, the Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Clinton Dix, Lance Archer. They're finally going to challenge Sonata and Evil. It's really been Los Ingobernables versus Suzuki Gun throughout this whole.
Davey Boy Smith just get some trouble for something.
Davey Boy, well, yeah, he had an incident in New Orleans at WrestleCon.
Oh, that's what it was.
He got in Jake Roberts' face for some stuff he said about his dad on Twitter, the original Davey Boy Smith, and challenged him to a fight. He wouldn't go out. He wouldn't go outside. Jake Roberts,
good.
And
you don't need that drama.
Davey Boy Smith threw coffee in his face.
Ooh, so the old Fast Time Ridgemont High special.
So yeah, taking a page out of Lance Archer's book instead of spitting water, he was throwing coffee. But yeah, so he's wanted by the New Orleans police or whatever to question him on that incident. So not a huge deal, but
Japan.
He's it's kind of a dick move. But then again, it was definitely a dick move. He confronted him and somebody else about shit that they said on Twitter about Davey Boy Smith.
Sure.
Basically. So it's him having, big man syndrome or whatever, just getting in guys' faces or whatever in real life. It's just a dick move or whatever. But anyway, they're finally getting their tag match that they've been building up to between Sonata and Evil for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag titles. This is also on the 29th. And then the main event for the show, the 29th, is Tetsuya Naito challenging Minoru Suzuki for the IWGP Intercontinental title. This has been built up really well.
Yes.
It started with Suzuki challenging Naito, of all things, the current champion, challenging the one of the former champions. But Naito's like, I don't care about the IC title. That title meant more when I was just throwing it around and disrespecting it. But they've built it up, like I said, really well. And Naito's talking about now how, and again, I'll get into all of this stuff on Strong Honor when I record it tomorrow too, but he's talking about how he wants to see what happens to Suzuki Gun when I take the title away from Minoru Suzuki, the King. When I take the King's crown away from him and see what happens to Suzuki Gun when they no longer have a king with a crown or whatever. So that's kind of been the heat or whatever going into that. And, a curiosity, if Naito wins that IC title, where does that lead with him going back, going forward, rather? I mean, you got the big show Dominion coming up in a month or two. Where does that lead to him going into the G1? Does he have that IC title? I've been doing some fantasy booking on Twitter a little bit lately. I'd kind of like to see him win that, Naito, that is, win the IC title. He really he could use some momentum. He's been on a losing streak here. He lost to Zack Sabre Jr. That was something else he brought up too. I lost to Zack Sabre in the New Japan Cup. Now, if I beat the leader of Suzuki Gun, Minoru Suzuki, and I have a win over the leader, but Zack Sabre has a win over me, where does that lead the leadership in Suzuki Gun, blah, blah, blah. So he wants to really see Suzuki Gun blow up, whereas Suzuki Gun they've outright said, we're going to kill Los Ingobernables. We're going to take all their titles. We're going to leave them with nothing. We're going to murder them. So,
maniacs.
Lots of cool stories going into this weekend there. And then more big shows to come early in May for Wrestling Dontaku for New Japan. All right, that's enough of the Strong Honor. Like I said, I'll record a full episode talking Ring of Honor and the upcoming shows and the entire cards from the last two shows from the Road to Dontaku shows tomorrow, or on Thursday, I should say. All right, let's change it up one more time and talk NXT this week.
Change the subject.
Did I watch that?
NXT.
Wow, NXT just has been really hot the last few weeks. Johnny Gargano's on a roll. This week, I just really liked it.
I'm so glad there's no internet exploiters for this week.
No what?
Spoilers for this week.
Yeah. But yeah, hell of a show. And they got a really good show coming up next week that we'll preview too. But it started with the Undisputed Era coming out to gloat their championship win. Roderick Strong saying that he had an epiphany during the match at TakeOver, saying, if I'm tagging up with this guy, this the UK champion, like Clinton Dix,
Pete Dunne
had an epiphany during the match that Pete Dunne's probably just going to turn on me at some point anyway. So why am I beating up the Undisputed Era? I'll join them, be their tag team champion, and we'll be awesome going forward. I want to the Undisputed Era. I've talked about it so many times how I just love their entrance when fucking Kyle O'Reilly just comes sauntering out. They have this cool factor to it, but they're heels too. It's just I just get a kick out of like their music, and I'm gonna skip ahead this part. There's just the swagger to this, and when he comes out, and the cool heel factor, but still getting that heat. Like they had Adam Cole had the match with Oney Lorcan, which everybody's hot for Adam Cole. Everybody loves Adam Cole, but then there's the side of the audience that loves Oney Lorcan, and they're rooting for this underdog and rooting for Lorcan.
Right. And
he hits a big move, and it looks like he's going to gain some momentum. He's going after the taped-up ribs of Adam Cole, but then here comes, even in the promo, Adam Cole's like, I don't need your guys' help to beat Oney Lorcan. You guys go to the back. But then, of course, as soon as he gets in trouble, here comes the Undisputed Era. So they're getting that heat with the interference and the skullduggery and all this and the bullshit. So I like that aspect to it, and it just reminds me not only in their act but in the music of the NWO. And I just wanted to just compare the vibe of the two musics or whatever. It's just that same swagger, that same vibe, you know. Like I can just see
You
Kyle.
could have 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys coming out stage, each coming out their own swag, and fucking it works.
And I can see Kyle O'Reilly air guitar playing the title belt to the same vibe.
Back to back with Hulk Hogan, Charlie's Angels style.
Right, and but I love it just because it's different enough too. It's former Ring of Honor stars, it's indie stars.
Yeah.
It's not former WWF castaways or whatever, or guys looking for a big paycheck or whatever.
I'm a one-man band.
So I like the comparisons and the parallels, but also the fact that it's different enough that it kind of remains a cool factor, and different also from what Bullet Club is doing now too. So and certainly I don't feel the same momentum behind Undisputed Era that like a Bullet Club has, and not even quite the cool factor of a Bullet Club at this point, but certainly could get to that down the road. But just cool stuff there. So Adam Cole winning with the skullduggery, of course. They beat him down after the match. Danny Burch comes out to try to save, but the Undisputed Era stand tall. So I'd like to see that tag match for the tag titles. So that'll be hopefully something coming up on the next few weeks of TV. Maybe even something for TakeOver. They're doing a TakeOver early June. I don't have it on the board yet, but their Money in the Bank is in Chicago. Yeah, Money in the Bank and TakeOver June 16th and 17th. So we're a couple of months away from that yet, but maybe it might be Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, maybe not quite big enough for that spot. So that's probably more a TV match at some point coming up. But
God, I kind of miss the old takeovers in Full Sail sometimes. Just the excitement of just like, oh, a special is on, yay! And now it's just like WWE pay-per-view Sunday. We're getting a takeover.
But I do like we still get the passionate crowds.
Oh, for sure. It's super awesome game. It's a great chance for these guys to come out in like a Raw or Smackdown stage and atmosphere or whatever or vibe, but bigger pay-per-view feel almost.
Right. Well, and passionate fans not only at the bigger arenas, but even at Full Sail for these TV tapings, I feel like we get nice responses. So good stuff
Just
there.
think about like the old NXT with like fucking Neville and Bo Dallas going at it, and like those takeovers. Oh, they're just something's neat about those.
Yeah, that's true.
In a good way.
Yeah. Heavy Machinery versus the Sports Entertainers, Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss.
Shakaloo.
Heavy Machinery is just fun. It feels like a mid-card tag team act, but they're just fun to watch. And they've been teasing it's kind of weird because they teased dissension. I feel like a month or two ago or a while ago between the Sabatelli and Moss, and then they got away from it and they got back to it here. This time with Sabatelli leaving Moss out to dry, Heavy Machinery getting the win, and then calling out the War Raiders. Yeah, because it was the War Raiders that interrupted. Was it a match between these two teams again? It was Heavy Machinery.
I was gonna say
it was Heavy Machinery. I know for sure.
Yeah,
and I think it was.
I think it was Sports Entertainers.
I think you're right. Yeah.
You're right.
So Heavy Machinery calling out the War Raiders after feels appropriate. They're telling that story. I like War Machine, War Raiders. They feel a level above these tag teams already. Just, Heavy Machinery is entertaining, and they did a good job with their calling out their promo. But it was gimmicky. It was like, we're gonna go to your town and eat all the steaks. That's
why I fucking love it.
Gonna go to your gym and lift all the weights. But War Machine's just gonna come out and be badasses and whoop that ass. But
hell yeah!
So it'll be good. Another theme throughout the show that I really liked was they kind of built up the aura of the new women's champion, Shayna Baszler. Did a video package of her talking about herself. They did little promo videos of the individual NXT talents just talking about wanting to face Shayna Baszler, Nikki Cross, even Aliyah. What was one of the other ones?
Lacey Evans,
Candice LeRae. I'm trying to. What was the one that I liked in particular? Candice LeRae was pretty good.
Kairi Sane,
Nikki Cross talking some smack. But then the contrast of everybody kind of talking some smack, and then I noted last week how I like Dakota Kai in the story they're telling, and then this week she was just a timid, scared dog. She didn't want anything to do with Shayna Baszler, and she was trying to get interviewed and didn't want to talk about it. Baszler confronts her, so I like that it puts over Baszler as a badass. Right. It's just kind of disappointing for me as someone that I was kind of digging the Dakota Kai story and
wanted to see more out of her.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, it was cool. But tonight, I was kind of hard on it last week with her just kind of leaving the locker room like that. I was like, I want her to be more of the badass situation. Yeah. But when they did that interview with her, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it. Quit talking about it.
So she's
her fucking makeup though. I was like, why? She looks like shit. Her makeup just looks so pale almost. And then Shayna Baszler came out and kind of did her thing. She kept staying intimidated. So
kind
just
of played into the character.
I kind of I hope they did that on purpose, and I'm not being a dick, but her lips look pale, her eyes look pale. She just looked so pale, and it was just like it worked so well for that scene.
Yep, it really built. Like I said, throughout the show, doing all of those packages really built up Baszler, which I like. And as much as I'm a fan of Dakota Kai, and I'd like to see like a redemption story told and build her back up, I don't necessarily think that they're going to do that with her. Not right now, anyway.
She's someone though who's so just like cute and adorable and on every fucking fan's side, whether she's wrestling or, being pouty in the back. She easily can get momentum right back.
The other one I was trying to think of too was Kairi Sane saying, I know Shayna's weakness, but I'm going to keep it a secret. So that was I like that too.
And then with Dakota Kai too, her tag team partner has been just made her a big NXT return. She was supposed to be, I heard, Nixon Neville.
I'm not sure either. But, I did see that she's making.
She was supposed to be in the Mae Young, got injured, and then so she just made her big return to NXT. So they're kind of doing a tag team thing, the two of them. So
sure.
There's that big era if they're going to be rumors of maybe a woman's tag titles being thrown in the mix eventually. Well, there's another tag team right there, and
they talked about
experienced.
There's been a talk about doing women's tag on the main roster as well. So I could certainly see that coming to NXT. Then the big main event angle, it was supposed to be advertised Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black. This whole thing, I just love how this entire thing was done.
Yeah.
Towards the end, it almost felt a little, just slightly overbooked with what they did with Sanity, and we'll get into it, but not enough. I really thought it was really well done and really good, and accomplished a lot of things. So Gargano comes to make his entrance. Tommaso Ciampa attacks him right away, so we don't get the match. It's a brutal attack, a brutal beatdown. Throws him into the LEDs.
He's wearing that Cesaro tape on his eyeball.
Yes, that was the Kinesio tape on the fucked up eye from the takeover match was just such a nice touch. Fucks him up on the announce table. He drives him through these equipment tables next to the stage. Totally fucks up Gargano.
His head in.
Beats the shit out of him. He's got to get stretchered out of there. So they're stretchering him out of there, and in the back, outside, wandering in his way into the arena, there's Aleister Black in the background. Like, God damn it!
Which, if he's wandering in the arena, shouldn't you be getting ready for that title match that Gargano just came out for?
I'm not hating it. I loved it. I loved that little moment where he's like, "Oh man, that was my opponent. That was supposed to be." And then the moment where fucking Ciampa's on top of the semi, waving goodbye to.
I thought they were gonna roll credits right there.
Yeah, that felt like it could have been the end of the show. But then I loved Aleister Black, haha, Clinton Dix.
Clinton Dix
storming to the ring with his title, grabbing a microphone, goes to call out Ciampa like, fuck you fucked up my match, this main event, he earned it, and now I'm going to beat the shit out of you. But then Sanity answering the call with their recent call up to Smackdown. I loved this because Alistair just won the championship, so now he gets to have this great TV match, but now with a big credible opponent like Johnny Gargano, who they should have an awesome main event worthy style match some point down the road. So I love that they tease doing that. More heat on Ciampa. Alistair calling out Ciampa as well. You can have a match there. Then you have Sanity come out, who are on their way out and do the quote job on their way out. But has Alistair Black and Eric Young have a really good TV match. Yeah. Of course, Alistair gets the win, hits Black Mask on everybody in Sanity on their way out because they try to attack Alistair after he beats Eric Young. But then he Black Masks all those guys, kicks them in the face. So Alistair, your new champ, has this match where he looks great. It's not a squash match, but he looks great versus the credible Sanity faction who are on their way out, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not in the NXT universe anyway, and certainly not on the SmackDown side of things. So I loved the entirety of the segment. Again, you could argue that the thing was a little overbooked, a little Russo.
Well, it was even like just, like you said, a little detail going on here, like just that getting Sanity to come out and get that little extra, boo factor on them before they're on their way out against this match against Black, because I want to see him whoop Ciampa's ass. That's what I fucking wanted, and then Sanity's music hits. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this, but good fucking match out of Eric Young, man. His best showing today in NXT for sure. Yep.
Well, and I even like Eric when they come to the ring and Eric Young grabs the mic and he starts talking all his jibber jabber bullshit or whatever, and Alistair's just like, hold up. You want to have a fight for this?
You want this?
And he holds up the championship. All right, let's do it. And so they have a match.
Yeah, it was awesome. Good shit.
Really great episode of NXT.
Fuck yeah.
This week, advancing all of those storylines along. And we got a hell of a show coming next week as well. It's going to be Bianca Belair, who got a nice video package this week as well, versus Candice LeRae.
All right.
Kona Reeves is going to make his re-debut as he's the finest. So he's going to be the Colombian coffee of the NXT division. We are going to get TM61 versus the Street Profits next week. Okay. So that's an interesting matchup. And Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong. Ooh. So, more Undisputed Era skullduggery possibly there. Yep. Maybe leading to a UK Championship match somewhere down the road.
Maybe a Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era. Ooh.
That could be very good as well. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. It's been a long show, but well worth it. Good stuff today. Thank you, Taco.
No problem.
For giving up the goods and putting on a good show.
I put out the best.
And so, next week we'll have our Backlash predictions already. We'll talk the fallout from the greatest Royal Rumble. There'll be no shortage of shit to talk about. Make sure you check out Strong Honor. We're talking New Japan and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor this week had a Women of Honor recap show from the big tournament, but that's just some decent stuff to talk about there.
Worth watching.
And good stuff from New Japan coming up, as we alluded to earlier here. So check those out. Go to sltdwrestling.com. That's Single Leg Takedown. Joe's fantasy team has really taken a plummet.
You are in, Joe.
I'm still number 4. I'm hanging in there.
Yes,
I have a chance.
Someone's got us.
I got a chance. So I'm looking forward to see if we get points from this greatest Royal Rumble thing. That's what I'm looking for. But sltdwrestling.com, like I said, fantasy league, predictions league. I wonder if they got a predictions one for greatest Royal Rumble as well. But lots of cool fan articles, lots of WrestleMania coverage. So if you're into that stuff, check that out. BestProWrestlingPodcast.com for all the back episodes. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. If you want to email the show, bestprowrestlingpodcast@gmail.com, at BPW Podcast on Twitter. Follow me at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow Joe, who's not here today, at Joe BPWP. Just think Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. That's it for today. Bye.
Peace.
Absolutely right.
Listen up, wrestling fans. Shut up.
Oh, man, dude, that's gross.
I hear that TNA is hiring.